Hello, guys.
Does this sound okay? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Christy. Hello, Val. Gosh. Hi. Can you guys hear me okay? Do I sound weird or anything like that? Okay, good. Okay, I think we're gonna have an intimate group today, which is so great because that means I don't have to rush through things. I always feel like I'm like on a like trying to go through things as fast as possible. Okay, actually, not many people who have signed up are on yet, so that's fun. But what that just means, I'm going to take a minute to just remind you guys of a couple of things, and then we'll dive into whoever's first on the list who's here. Okay, so first of all, hello everyone. Let me plug myself in because I'm about to run out of battery. That would not be useful to anyone. Hello. So first things first. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for April. I can't believe we're already in April. We, as you know, I've thrown in an extra class for April. After auditing a ton of feeds, I just was like, okay, there's a couple of things here that a lot of people are doing. So clearly there's a class. There's a class in here that we could do, right? And I'm lovingly calling it, I see there's a son in the room, so I'm gonna not swear. I'm gonna lovingly call it stuff, which is actually a different word, but stuff we should know in 2023, so you're not posting like it's 2019. That's what I've called it for fun. But actually, if we're being honest, the stuff that I want to cover, I don't think is that obvious. So I definitely don't feel like you're missing something obvious. No one's doing that. Let me just admit these two people. But I think that there's a couple of like logistical things that would be really good to go over, like maximizing Instagram reels and stories, just things around like the size of posts, where captions need to go, what requires a short caption, what requires a long caption, like very logistical things like that. We talk a lot about messaging, which I obviously, you've heard me say many times, is the most important thing of anything that we do on social media. If there's not messaging and relationship, like all of the strategies and all of the little hacks that people post on social media, it doesn't matter, right? We have to nail those two things. So we talk a lot about that. This class is not going to be as much about that. It's going to be about logistics. It's going to be about like, okay, this is what is happening on 2023, which might have not been happening last year. So that's really what we're focusing on there, just so everyone knows what to expect when you show up. So that's going to happen. We're changing the schedule slightly to fit this in. It's scheduled for Friday, April 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern. There's currently a problem solving call on that day, which we're just going to move to April 28th. And then we still have our content office hours on, I think it's April 3rd. It's like the first Monday of April. So those are our April dates. And we are moving the consistency challenge to May, because I want to teach you this so that you can use it in May if you want to, right? So that's kind of why we've moved some things around. And then just so you guys know, we are going to be launching the Go-To Coach Club in April. If anyone wanted to be an affiliate, we pay our affiliates. Of course, that's what an affiliate is. If you wanted to be an affiliate, feel free to email me and we can send you emails to send to your community or whatever you want. And then, I mean, we have a couple members who actually don't pay for the membership because they have affiliates, like they're, people in their community paying for it. So, it's a fun way to be a member, I guess, right? Because you get a fun email from us that just says you've got money mail. It's my favorite email to send everyone. So that's in April. So you can email me if you're interested. Okay. So today, let me pull up our questions. We've got some really good questions here. Donna, I don't know, like I know you're not on the list, but I still want to check in with you because I know you like started a new page and all these things. So if we have time at the end, I might circle back if you're still around and just chat to you. Because I'm so excited to see you here. But the first one on the list is actually, let me quickly pull up my list. is Amy. And I see Amy has popped on. Amy, you want to unmute yourself and we can chat?
Yeah, give me just a second. I didn't think I was gonna be first because it took me too long.
Oh, that's fine. Here, I won't, I'll go to someone else. That's totally fine. So you can take a minute. If anyone's new, if you've never been on a problem solving call, just to share how this works. I've got everyone's questions here. So if you forgot what you asked, like I have a list. I'm going to go through them. The first person who signed up goes first. The last person who signed up goes last. And we do as many as we possibly can. Well, I usually go over an hour because I like to get as many as possible, but the call is an hour and we will not be offended if you wanted to leave at the hour point, but feel free to stay as long as you want. Okay, so instead of Amy, let me bring on who is next in our little list. Rachel.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. And you've asked such a good question. And I think if it's cool with you to answer your question, I'll read it in a second for people. Do you mind if I share your Instagram page for this call? So people can look
God, you can, but it's so bad. Go ahead.
No, it's not. Oh, Rachel, what I have to say is so funny is how even in the, even in your question, when you asked the question, you even said, "Oh my gosh, my page is so bad." So we need to stop. You need to stop saying that. It's not bad at all.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Let me quickly share my screen. Let me just open it up first. Okay. No. Rachel. Sorry, I had Amy's up. It's Pixie something, right? Pixie
Dust Pirate Hooks _ Rachel.
Pixie Dust Pirate Hooks.
And then it's underscore.
I got it. I got it. And I want to ask you about that actually. Like, are you?
I have so many things that I want to say that I won't. But...
I was gonna say, like, are you like, are you part of like another company? Is that so? The Pixie Dust is that company?
I hate it. So that's why I have to have our agency owner insist that our logo is our picture, and I cannot stand that.
Yeah, because I don't love that. I have to say, like, I think maybe you should tell her this. Like, if she's having each person have their own page, like, the whole point of it, right, is to connect with like, it's fine if there's one account with that logo, right? And then it's like, that's where Pixie Dust Pirate Hooks hangs out, like as a company. But if she wants each person to have their own, they should have a picture of their face so that we connect with the human, that's kind of the whole point. So
yeah, and I actually, to back this up, I was nominated to go to a social media summit in Disney in January, and they said the exact same thing.
Yeah. I would 100%. I don't know if she's going to listen to you. She sounds like she's like got her own way, right? But just in case that's helpful. Okay. So your question was, by the way, can you see my notes? I just put them up. Can you see them? Or
no.
Oh, okay. I think it's because I only shared my tab, but that's fine. I'll just read it to you. It said, I want to talk about my posts and how to effectively get more reach. And this is where you said, I only have 55 Instagram followers, that I know is awful. Oh my gosh, so bad. So I'm wondering if there is something specific I can do so that I get my Facebook followers to follow me on Instagram. I like your thinking, first of all, and we'll talk about that, but I want to give you a couple of other thoughts as well.
Okay.
First things first. Oh, let me just admit Morgan. 1 second. First things first. I really want you to change this. And I also want you to change this. And I don't know how possible that's going to be. Like, I know, like, this is someone else's company, right? But ideally, fine. If we have your name here, can we add in your headline, like, travel agent? You specialize for Disney, to travel to Disney, right? Do I have that correctly?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So can you say, like, travel agent specializing in Disney trips, or however you would word that, or something like that, so we can get some more keywords in here?
Okay.
That's first things first. I know you have a travel specialist right here, but I would rather it be in the headline just because this is the more heavily weighted part for SEO purposes.
Okay.
This still shows up. This stuff still does show up. It's just not as heavy. It's not just as heavily weighted. But I also want us to be a little more specific, right? A travel specialist planning magical adventures is fun, but a travel specialist specializing in Disney positions you as a resource if I want to travel to Disney. Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit more weight to it. And I'm more likely to search for that. I'm more likely to be like, oh, I'm planning a Disney trip. go to my Google or wherever I'm searching, or Instagram in this case, and say travel agent Disney. That's probably what I'm going to search for. So now we have a couple of keywords in your headline. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first thing. And then for here, I want this to be an I help statement, right? I want this to say like, I help families take the trip of a lifetime to Disney without overwhelming themselves with all the details or whatever it might be. This might need some crafting because I just literally pulled that out of the thin air. But I do want something so that, okay, I see you as a travel agent specializing in Disney. And now I also see you as the person that can help me because I'm a family. I'm planning a trip for my family and I'm overwhelmed and whatever it might be. And now your I help statement speaks directly to my current need. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I want that to be the first sentence. This part, we have to get rid of this because these links are not clickable up here, right?
Okay.
So if anything, you could say quote request and then point to this link if you wanted to do that.
Okay.
Maybe you want to do like if you have to have, first of all, is this where I do the quote request or is it different?
That quote request link goes to our agency. So like you could click on it and then it would go to somebody else. It could go to anybody.
Okay. So then let's put this link in here then and get rid of pixiedustandpiratehooks.com. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously I want it to go to you. Don't worry. I'm on your side. Yeah, so let's put that there. Do you have any kind of Rachel specific lead magnet or something like that to create a community? Oh shit, I just broke my pen. Darn it.
What do you mean?
So like first of all, is Pixie Dust and Pirate Hooks, do they have an email list? Are they emailing a community every week or anything like that?
Yeah.
They are. Okay. Good for them. But are you allowed to have your own thing? Like, are you allowed to build your own community?
I can have my own thing as long as I get it approved.
Okay. So what I kind of want you to do is I want you to have a Rachel newsletter, right? Where it's like, maybe it's like, go here to download something, right? Something simple, a 1-page or something, but they get added to a Rachel email list so that you can nurture people without them, so that you can make sure that people that you are taking time to nurture pays you versus go to them, right? So that way, any links you share in your emails are all Rachel specific links. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Because right now you're just relying on social media. And that's okay for a point, right? But sometimes people take a while to make a decision. They might have discovered you and kind of hung out on Pixie Dust and Pirate Hooks, joined the email list and bought through some general link instead of through you. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So I almost want you to create a Rachel specific community where you share, like where you shout out clients' adventures, where you share tips for something. This was a great tip, by the way. This one, how to narrow down your next family vacation, right? Like where you share stuff like that, you can turn that into an email and send it just to your community. And that way, up here, when we are directing people to a quote, you have 2 choices. I would probably have a link tree or something where you can have 2 links on there to direct them to a quote or to get your free, whatever the download is, so that they can get onto Rachel's email list and you can email your community every week.
Okay, sounds amazing.
And like, don't get me wrong. I know we're talking about Instagram, but I just want to lay some foundations too. I'm kind of doing some fix your feed stuff right now because, well, growth is great. If we're not set up to kind of receive that growth, it's not going to help you. Do you know what I'm saying? So before we even talk about growth, I want to talk about the foundational pieces. So that's why I'm talking about that. Just so you're not like, why is she talking about this? That wasn't my question. Just so I'm explaining.
Okay.
The other thing. Okay. So now we have, again, I doubt this is going to work, but like, I truly want you to talk to your person about that, but like, we'll put a pin in that. I'll maybe bring that up later.
Okay.
But can we also, like, I think my overall note to you is I don't think you're positioning yourself as an expert with your content. I think you're saying things like, oh, are you experiencing this? I can help you. And that's great. for a moment, right? It's not content that's going to travel though, right? I call that promotional or sales content, even though you're not necessarily saying buy here, click the link to buy. It's still promotional or sales content because it's about hiring you to get value. Versus if I'm stumbling upon something, right, that shares travel tips or is just like, I have someone else who posted a reel. Doesn't work in travel. He's actually an actor, but he loves Disney. And he just posted this funny like reel about how he's back, like his husband's driving him. And then he's just like, and he's doing it from his husband's perspective. And he's like, how the hell did my husband talk me going into Disney for the third time in 2023 or something funny like that? And like, that stuff can go viral because that's relatable. A lot of people love Disney. If you posted stuff like that, that has an opportunity to be seen by a lot of people who can relate to that. And when they see that and like it and come back to your page, now they're going to see a bunch of value positioning you as an expert on how to craft the most magical trip to Disney, right? So, but at the moment we have the promotional content, but we don't have the resource content, the content that makes you, I need to follow this page because I'm going to get fill in the blank, right? Have you answered that question for yourself? Like, do you feel like you know why people are following you?
No.
Yeah, I know, I can tell. And that's not a criticism, right? That's just, if we haven't asked ourselves that question, no one's coming to the conclusion. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to ask ourselves that question so that we know the answer. And then what we're doing, how we create content, how we show up is aligned with that. So that when people come to our page, they're getting that information and deciding to follow. So for example, if it were me, if I were going to hire a travel agent, if I were going to follow a travel agent, my first thing is I'm going to hire someone that looks like they're going to make my life easier. Right. So on social media, I follow a ton of like restaurant critics in London and stuff like that, because they recommend that I look into things and do things, and they're not necessarily selling to me yet. They have lots of things for me to buy, but I'm not following them because I'm ready to buy. I'm following them because I'm like, oh, I'm considering taking a step on something, but I want to like do my research first, right? So I think you're attracting people who are doing their research. I don't think you're necessarily attracting people who are ready to buy yet. Most of us aren't on Instagram, right? We have to be there for people to start to trust us. Does that part make sense?
Yes.
So if I were to ask you, and we can just quickly spitball around this, why do you think people are following you?
Okay, this is going to sound really bad, but the only people that follow me right now are like people I know.
Yeah, that's
So
normal.
why should they be following me? That's the question. That's like the real question.
Okay, so now let's take a next step further. Let's say people were seeing you as a resource. What is some value you can share that can give a taster to what you sell without giving it all away? Just gives like a little taster. And if you need an example, I'm happy to give you an example.
Yes, please.
Okay, so for myself, I have a membership where I teach people how to do a shit ton of things, right? You go on my page, I'm talking a lot about what I am selling, right? I'm not saying that I'm selling it. I am selling it, but I'm saying I'm like 5 tips to do this, 4 red flags, things like that, right? So people are getting a taste of what I talk about in my membership, but there's no way they're getting the whole bag, right? So for example, for you, if they're going to hire a travel agent, maybe there's like 4 questions to ask a potential travel agent, right? Or 4 must-see places in Disney, or I like this one, how to narrow down your travel destination. Like that's some value there as well. I don't even know. I haven't ever actually used a travel agent. So I'm like, what do travel agents do? Tell me what travel agents do actually, and I'll give you more ideas.
So I basically plan everything and it's complimentary. Like I don't charge a fee, anything like that. So like for Disney, for example, you do like dining reservations. They're obviously their hotel, their theme park tickets. You create an itinerary for them. It's totally complimentary. And I'm there, like literally I'm available at all times. Like you could text me right now and I would answer.
Okay, that's amazing. So could you say like, what about a carousel where it's like three, like, okay, I just had this idea. I don't know what this looks like, but comparing like what a trip planned by a travel agent would look like and what a trip planned by yourself would look like. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would imagine a travel agent, you already know where to go. You already know how to get you in if it's full. You already all these things. Whereas the family who's doing it all by herself or themselves, right? They're probably like overwhelmed, don't know where to go, things are packed, can't get X ticket. I don't know. I'm making this up, right? But do you see how I'm like, can you compare the two experiences?
Yeah.
That could be one post. I also think like, what are there any kind of like when you go to Disney, are there different like packages? Like I've never been to Disney. I know that sounds crazy. I just told someone recently and they're like, what?
So, I mean, yeah, you could do it as a vacation package, or you could do like if you were staying at like I don't know, like a timeshare or whatever, you could just do theme park tickets, which I could still book those.
Okay, can you do a post explaining the differences between those things?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know if that's common knowledge, but I would never know that. If I was planning a trip, like I don't know how maybe I wouldn't know how to choose my own adventure. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe different, like explaining the two. Kylie, I love this. I'm down to hop on a market research call for all the Disney things. Yes, she is obsessed with Disney. Like she posts about it all the time.
Oh my God.
So she's actually a great person to talk about this. Oh, Petra, I love that. Okay, so yeah, and actually this is a great what Petra said that she just did. Like, you know, she just went into her Instagram stories and asked people why they follow her, right? And I know you said most of them are friends and family, so maybe you don't have the right pool of people to ask. But like for anyone else listening who's like, gosh, I've never thought about this, maybe asking your current audience, like, question, what made you want to follow me is a really good market research question to ask yourself. I think I might even do that. Okay, Kylie says, explain magic bands, explain Genie, explain fast passes. Oh my gosh, yes. I've heard about these crazy fast pass systems and how like there's different options. Is that right?
Yeah. So Fast Pass is a thing of the past, but then there's Genie Plus, which is kind of like replaced it.
Okay. So maybe even that, like, is there like Disney news where it can be like breaking? Like this is in the past now, but like when it was breaking,
Yeah.
like Fast Pass is no longer. Right now we're using Genie Pass. Here's what it looks like. Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So the question now, I think people are following you. I think people are following you to either maybe plan their own Disney trip and then realize, holy shit, there's so much to think about. I can't do this by myself. I need to hire Rachel. You know? So if we
Yeah.
position you as the person, geez, this is so bright. So if we position you as the person, right, who knows all things Disney, now I'm following you because you are a resource. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. And how that's different from what you're currently doing, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The last thing I would say that I would work on is your pin posts. I think we should actually intentionally choose some pin posts. I think one could be something about you, like talk about why you're the expert in all things Disney. Have you been there like a million times or what drew you to this job?
So the main thing that drew me is that when I was, we were young, we had our son when we were teenagers. We could never afford for him to take him. Well, we thought we never could afford. We didn't until he was older. And I wanted to like help people that like Disney's like very expensive. So I want to help people that don't have a lot. Like I wanted to help them go. And then like I got married in Disney, like I'm obsessed. So just like the love of it and like the magic and like having people experience it for themselves, like that was a big deal for me.
Rachel, is there a post on this? Have you done this? Have you done a post on this?
On what?
On the story you just told me that you got married in Disney, that you couldn't afford to take your child. And so now your big mission is to help others afford a trip to. This is such good content. Like, honestly, I almost feel like I want you to do a post where it's like why I'm the Disney expert or something like that. And then talk about like, first off, I'm obsessed with Disney. Here's a picture of the time I got married at Disney just to prove it to you. Secondly, when I had my son, we could not afford to take a trip to Disney. And just tell what you just said. Like, it took us X number of years to actually afford a trip. And now here we are. I go often. I don't know how often you go. And I'm devoted to helping families get to this magical place that I think every child in the world should be experiencing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like that. And if that's a pin post, if that's a carousel up here, now I know why you're the Disney expert from a relatable standpoint.
Okay.
Now, second thing, maybe you should have something driving traffic to the lead magnet you haven't created yet. But if you were to create a lead magnet, right? Maybe there's something about like my top 10, maybe it's like a list of 10 places you absolutely must see at Disney or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
because again, everyone who downloads that is considering a trip to Disney.
Okay.
You know, so now they're on your email list and you're not emailing random people. You're emailing people who are interested in Disney, right? So top 10 places to see in Disney, or like top 10 negotiables for a magical trip, for a stress-free trip to Disney. That could be a good one, because I have heard it can be
Oh my
stressful.
gosh, everybody, seriously, thank you guys so much. There are so many comments. This is amazing.
Yes, and these are amazing. Top 5 hidden gems for
Yeah.
Disney parents. Oh my God, Beverly, I love that. Top 10 places nobody knows about. Do a reel with some of your wedding photos, some of your son's first trip, and some of your client results, 100%. Why you can help a parent share their love of Disney with their kids. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Yeah.
No, thank you guys so much. This is like so nice that people like chimed in. I love this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Sarah Lily, I love this too. That's exactly what I was thinking of. It being as stress-free as possible sounds amazing. Cause yeah, I agree. There's so much to think about when you go to Disney, and it's like, you want to do it right because it's so expensive. So it's like, when you go, you want to do it right. And there's like some overwhelm, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like, yeah, I'm from Disney Concierge. I do actually think you and Kylie should get on a market research call, to be honest. She really goes a lot. Yeah, but how does that feel in terms of the type of content? And then kind of looking at these top posts and making sure we're answering the question, why you're the Disney expert? Like, some way to position yourself as the expert. Like I said, click here to download my top 10 things, whatever it is. And then the third one could be a lot of different things. I'm trying to think. Maybe the third one can be like how to get a quote. You know, like 3 steps to getting your quote. Step 1, DM me the word quote, or whatever you want to do. DM me the word quote, or email and then give your email, or go to the link in my bio, like whatever it is. Here's what's going to happen when you go there. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Again, I don't know what it is. You're going to get a quote to your inbox. Step 3, you and I are going to chat. It's completely free to have a conversation with me. Like, outline it so that it's like people can see what it looks like to take that next step with you.
Okay.
So I think I know we have to talk about growth. Like, I know that's part of our conversation.
Yeah.
But first, I think we need to do this. How does that feel for our next step?
Really good. I really appreciate that. This is incredible.
Amazing. Okay, I'm so excited. When I go to Disney, I will call you.
Awesome.
I'm very far from Disney at the moment, but when it happens.
Okay.
All right, amazing. Okay, let me answer this question. Joanne, what do you think of using Linktree? Good question, Joanne. I think that for some, that is the only option. I personally swap out my link every time I need to swap out a link, because I feel like, oh, good shout, Kylie. I feel like it makes it, if I have a lot of links in my Linktree, it makes it really hard for people to just take the next step. Like, I feel like they get analysis paralysis and all this stuff. So if I'm going to use a Linktree or something similar to a Linktree, I like to have no more than 3 links in it. And I like it to be very freaking clear. Like, take my quiz to do this, or like click this link to check out my sales page, or like whatever it is. So it's like they know exactly what they're looking for if I'm going to do a Linktree. But again, I personally choose not to even go there. I just swap out my link so that it's very easy. You're at my link to find this. Here it is. And then I also think that some people have created their own Linktrees so that it's linked on their website so that they can, I mean, I don't know if this is still happening because I don't do Facebook ads anymore. And now with tracking, this might not be happening, but what they used to do is like build a Linktree on their site so that they could do retargeting. Kylie, is that still happening? I know that you manage launches, so maybe you know the answer to that. If you can drop in the chat if you know. But yeah, those are like okay, that's still happening. So yeah, so then I was going to say, Joanne, the other option is some people build it on their site, a link tree, something that looks like a link tree, because when people interact with their site, they have something on the site that allows them to track them for Facebook ads. That's a way more strategic way to do it. I wouldn't be able to tell you how to do that because I don't do that. But yeah, so there's a couple different options, but that would be my concern with Linktree, too many options. So if people do have Linktree, I would be mindful of that. Alrighty. Okay, let's go to Amy. Is it a good time, Amy? Okay, cool.
Yes, I am good now.
Awesome. All right. I really should not have stood up for this call. I don't know why I'm like, it's so tiring to stand up. Okay. You have several questions, Amy. So instead of reading everything, I've just kind of broken it up. The first question, and by the way, everyone, it's several questions within one question, just so I know that, just so everyone's like, wait, several questions? What does that mean? It's just all related. So you're going into a launch, just to give people a backstory. You're going to a launch, super exciting. Hi, honey, you are so pretty. And one thing that you did say is, I'm going to read this part. Ideally, I'm going to start a reel series and do a reel day. Oh, a day. Call to action, the reels, and in the caption. What would you do? Follow, and then I'm reaching out directly to register for the workshop. I'm thinking that it would probably be best to do several series so it's not overwhelming to say there's 30 days, or would you say it's a 30-day series? So the first part of the question, are you asking like if people followed for the series, like would you just send an email, a DM and invite them to your workshop?
Yeah, so sorry, boss passing.
That's okay.
So like for the call to actions on Reels, because I know that it is much more effective to put it on the video versus putting it in the caption. So
Yeah.
like right now, the call to action that I'm doing for the SVB series is to follow. And
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking, instead of having the call to action be join the workshop, because theoretically, if they follow,
Yes.
I'm going to reach out. And then if they look at my profile, they're going to see about the workshop. Then.
Yeah. Between those two options of what should the CTA be, I 100% agree. It should be to follow you or some form of engagement, comment or whatever,
Right.
Not join the workshop. I agree with that. Yeah. Now the second part of the question, what should I do a 30-day series? This is a hard one to answer because I think like a 30-day series, any series really only works if it's what people want, right? And I actually had a client who was like, we're going to do a 10-day series. And I remember thinking, people aren't going to be that interested in this. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think we should do this. And she was like, no, I want to. I was like, okay, let's give it a try. Literally on day 2, no one was interested, but because she said it was a 10-day series, we had to keep posting for 10 days, even though like it was clear that they weren't into at least the format we were positioning it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always get a little worried about calling anything a X day series, because then you're kind of expected to show up for that amount of time, even if it's not working for you. And then it just feels like a waste of time for yourself.
I was like, the thought, I guess, probably wasn't going to call it a series. I was going to like a tip, because since April is financial literacy month, it was going to be a tip and be like, I'm dropping tips all throughout April for financial literacy month. Make sure you follow for more strategies to make finances simple, like something along that line.
Okay.
So then maybe it's not actually calling it a series, but then I know also in your notes on the audit, we talked about the Silicon Valley Bank, and it was like part 1, part 2, part 3, like they'll come back for it.
Yes. And the Silicon Valley Bank one, that's a very like it's a current event. You know what I mean? Right. So you'll talk about that as long as it's relevant. And then when it stops being relevant, you have the ability to be like, all right, we're done with this topic. Next topic. Because there's always something about money in the news right now. Oh my God. So, you know what I mean? There's probably like a lot of content for you. But okay, I see what you're saying though, in terms of you're not necessarily calling it a 30-day series. You're just celebrating financial month, right?
Yes.
Or no, is that what it's called? Financial literacy month. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Can we be more specific though? Instead of just saying, I'm going to share a money tip, like what is, or I'm going to share a money tip to help you fill in the blank.
I could work on that. I mean, it could easily be like the marketing for the workshop.
Yeah. I think it should be on topic. Like the workshop I know is about making more money. Right. So maybe it should be like a tip to help grow your income or boost your income or make more money, or like simple language, of course, but like, yeah, play with that so that it aligns, because that way, if people follow you for that, you know, they would be interested in your workshop.
Right.
You know, so if you are getting followers from the series, and I like that you're not officially calling it a series, but you just for your own admin are like, all right, I'll do this for like 30 days, right? That way you have some flexibility. If you're like, this isn't really working, I can ditch this. So I like that. And then, yeah, I would make it aligned with your workshop. Can you remind me what your workshop's called?
Cash Flow Unlocked.
Cash Flow Unlocked. So maybe it's like, and work with this. I'm like, obviously just pulling these out of thin air, so this might not be right, but like, maybe it is a tip a day to unlock cash flow in 2023. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, if you're calling it that, if that's what the wording of your workshop is like aligned with your market research and stuff, that way we're bringing people interested in cash flow. So when you DM them like, hey, like, I'm glad that this is interesting to you. Just so you know, you can stick around and grab a 15-second tip for as long as you want to, but I have this 60-minute training or 90-minute training, whatever it is, that's going to help you X, Y, and Z. If you want to join, here's the link, or let me know if you want the link, you know? So does that part work?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then the other question you said with regards to your pitching, I haven't really been pitching. That's the part that has fallen through the cracks. Understandably, you did grow a human and are raising several humans. Falling through the cracks that I think that I have a fix for that. Batching it in 1 week as opposed to trying to do 2 a week. I have made reach outs for promo partners for this launch, so I'm counting that as progress. That's definitely progress, by the way. I love the idea of Facebook groups and masterminds. Oh, yes, now I remember the question, but I feel I've asked or offered people I've thought of any suggestions on locating these. So let me give everyone some background on this. In our audit that I did for Amy, one thing that I suggested that she do, she has these really great classes on inflation and, you know, very specific topics. I'm going to quickly mute you, Amy, not because anything is wrong, but just in case people are having trouble hearing me. She has very specific topics. Like I said, inflation, she's doing cash flow unlocks, like very specific, watch this to learn how to do this type of topics. And I thought that a lot of masterminds out there would be really interested in having a money expert come in to talk about this class. For example, I recently learned about, and I don't know this person, Amy, if I could find her name, because I'll think of the person who told me about her, I'll get you the name. But what she teaches people how to run an Airbnb, right? And I was saying, okay, that person teaching people how to run an Airbnb would probably have a community that would be interested in having a money expert come in to talk about managing inflation, right? A lot of business masterminds probably would. There's just all kinds that I think would be interested in that topic. Probably also just like communities that don't have anything to do with business as well. But I know that's your target market, right? But what is a really great way to get in front of other people is, especially if you have these assets or you have trainings or you have downloads or you have things like this that you can talk on, is to pitch that topic to places where you think your audience would be hanging out and do a 60-minute free training, a 60-minute, whatever it might be, even a 30-minute plus a Q&A, or just pitch, hey, I'm here, I can do a Q&A for your community. Would you be interested, right? If you don't want to do a training. And the reason this is so great is because these communities are looking for people to give content to their people, right? So you're actually doing them a favor by pitching a topic, but then you are getting in front of your ideal audience, positioning yourself as an expert, and then just make sure you have something that they can sign up for after. I don't mean to buy from you. I mean like a lead magnet or something so that they can come back to your community and actually be in your world. So something Amy and I were talking about is, Her content and her page is looking awesome. The next step for her is now strategically and intentionally getting in front of other audiences. She's going to work on viral content, but we all know viral content is kind of like a shot in the dark, right? While you can work on that all day long, you should also have strategies in place or systems in place to really think, where is my audience hanging out and what would be a useful way for me to get myself in front of them without reinventing the wheel. Like I said, you could pitch a Q&A, you could have a class that you just shop that same class around to each community. There's lots of ways to provide value. And when you pitch it to this host, right, the host is more often grateful for it. Now, here's one thing I will say before I go back to Amy. I have noticed pitching to communities is way more effective when you nurture a relationship with the community member or the community host first, right? So one way that I did this, I now have a podcast. This is literally the reason I started a podcast, guys. This was why, I mean, other than I've always wanted one. Other than I love having conversations with people. I love having a place where I can say, go here and let's talk about this topic. I also wanted to be able to invite people into my world, give them a platform, share their knowledge, help my audience. It's a win-win no matter what. And if we vibe, there are people that I can pitch to, right? So I am also creating a network there where I can help their audience just like they helped my audience. Now, them being on my podcast doesn't guarantee that. Please, let's be clear. Like, there's no signed contract here, and I'm cool with that. I know I'm taking a chance always, but it's, for me, I think that this is social media is about being social. And if you do not have a podcast, no problem. What I did before the podcast is I invited people onto my page to do Instagram lives. I invited them into my own communities, right? I hosted things for them, right? So there's lots of ways to nurture relationships so that when you do pitch something, it's not like, I don't even know this person and she wants to come into my community. Please be mindful. People are very protective of their communities, and they should be. You should be as well, right? So make sure that we are nurturing that relationship before we go pitching. Hey, can I speak to your 10-person mastermind about this product? Because if they don't know you or trust you, it's not going to be as easy, right? And actually, keep in mind, you pitching to podcasts is a great first step for this as well. Because if you're pitching to podcasts and you vibe with the person whose podcast you're on, Tal actually just did this. Tal had a great podcast episode with someone, and the woman at the end was like, I have a great mastermind with about 30 people in it. I would love if you came in and talked about this topic. What do you think? And now she's going into the mastermind to speak about something, right? So pitching to podcasts is another great first step. Okay, I've rambled, but I just wanted to give people context, Amy, because people are really like, why are we talking about masterminds? I'm going to unmute you. Okay, so Amy, the truth of the matter is, like, there's no clear-cut way for how to find these people, because it just depends on what they're putting out online. Here are a couple of places that I look, though. I wrote some down. Okay, so you could use the Google trick. You know the Google trick to find podcasts? You could do that exact same thing where you're finding a competitor or someone, looking up their name and say like guest expert at the end, and see if someone has posted about them to advertise them coming into their group or something like that. So you could use the Google trick. I've also looked at all the podcasts that I have pitched to, right, that I have been on, to see if they have masterminds. So I have a list of if I've been on a podcast and if I'm looking for things like that, and then I'll just go to their website and see what they're promoting. Do they have a course, right? Someone actually just asked me, and I've done this before, if I could donate a course, which would be part of their course. So it's like a bonus, right? So it could be like, hey, I see, maybe you had a great conversation with someone. Hey, I see that you have a course that is selling in April or whatever. What do you think about, I have this amazing class, which I'm happy to donate that you could offer as a bonus for your people, right? And then that way, at the end of my course, just a heads up, I give information on how to sign up for Lead Magnet, whatever. Like, be honest, be transparent about that. But maybe it can be used as like a bonus for someone's course, right? So look into the guests that you've had on, and also the guests, like places that you have been a guest on, and see if they have masterminds, classes, Facebook groups, things like that. I also, I look at my guests too. I just said that, but I know you have a podcast, so you can look at your guests. I also have to say, I reach out to friends in the business and just say, hey, you know what I do. You know, I'm good at it. Do you know anyone who's looking for an expert like this? Like, here's the person that I help, and here's what this course covers. It's super good. All I'm doing is trying to help more people with it and get my message in front of as many people as possible. Like, be clear what you're asking. If you want to get paid for it, you can position that as well. But yeah, ask friends for referrals. But yeah, I have to say, those are like the main things that I would do. I also got an email from someone the other day, which I've never seen this done, and I think I'm going to do it as well. She basically was just like, hi, she's like, I'm so glad you're on my email list. I have a free class that I like to share with different communities. If you are a business coach, I would love to talk to you about sharing my class with your community. And she just sent this to her entire email list, right? She's like, so if that is you, or if you know someone who this could serve, please hit reply and let me know. So that's another thing you could do. But I think that those are probably where I would start. I know it's not a magic pill or a trick, but does that help you with the next step?
A little bit. There's a couple there. I know that some of those I just did to ask for promo partners for the event. So it might just be even like timing. I mean, I have to get ready for the event first anyways. So, but I think that's helpful.
Yeah. Because if you've already done that, if you've tapped out your network, right, completely, then it's just a question of adding more people to your network, right? So it might be the email thing, emailing your list and seeing who replies, looking out for friends and saying, hey, this is what I do. Do you know anyone? Do you know what I mean? And just like asking for referrals at this point, or thinking about, hey, I have to have 20 more guests on my podcast over the next 3 months. I don't know how many, probably not 3 months, probably 4 months, over the next 4 months. Like, I'm going to do some research for podcast guests. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to keep an eye out for masterminds and Facebook groups. Do you know what I mean? It just might be a research thing now.
Okay.
I wish I could just be like, do these 3 things and you're going to have a list of 100. Like, I wish I could do that, but it's one of those things where it's like,
right.
Yeah. And I know I have to do it too. So, I think those are all your questions, right?
The start here highlight was the only one that I can remember that was still.
Yes. Okay. That was.
Would you refilm it essentially for the workshop, prepping for the workshop, and then I can just duplicate it, post it again as the Make More Money highlight until that's like an evergreen lead magnet. So then whichever one they click on, they're still getting the same information.
I don't think it's going to hurt to do that. I have a feeling people probably aren't joining it through your highlight.
Right.
No, but I don't think it's going to hurt if you had a highlight for it. I mean, if you are going to have a highlight, I would have the words like happening now on it or something. So it's like clear it's not evergreen content yet,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think a highlight's going to hurt. I think if people are discovering it now, they're discovering it through your content. Maybe what you want to do is happening now, do a start here promoting it. And then afterwards, a ton of like, here's screenshots of what the last people on my live call said about my training, and have like some kind of social proof if you have that, or here's what my clients are saying, kind of like a hybrid between a results highlight and a start here highlight, because it's happening now and we want to give people every reason in the world to join. But yeah, if you do that, I would position it slightly differently. I would be like, start here highlight is like a 15-second you talking to the camera being like, I'm an expert at this. If this is what you're looking for and you are this type of person, here's what you do. Like, that's the start here highlight. But maybe for this, if it's happening now, you're pulling it's probably a little bit more like, this class is good for this person. Do. Here's social proof that shows this is going to be worth your time. Do. Here's how to take the next step. It's a little bit more of a promotion instead of just a start here highlight. Does that make sense?
It does. And that was what I was going to do for the pin post. So should I just do that for the pin post instead and not worry about the highlight?
Yeah, I think that's probably fine if you did that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you could have it in both places, but I don't know that you have to, you know what I mean? I think they're both at the top of the feed. So yeah, if you're going to do that for the pin post, that sounds great. Yeah.
I will
Cool,
do
cool.
that.
Good luck on your launch. I can't believe we're launching at the same time. We're just gonna have to like send each other texts of emotional support.
Especially since we're teething and making it very difficult to do anything.
Oh, I'm sending you love.
It'll work out.
But great question, Amy.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Ooh, who's next? All right, Morgan, you did sign up, but we chatted yesterday. Do you still want to chat about your content pillars? Where's Morgan?
I'm here.
Hi,
Hi.
Morgan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, no, we got clarity on the content pillars yesterday. Thank you for
Great.
that.
You're
All of
welcome.
When I was looking through my notes, which was, as you noted, my vibe is pretty grounded and mellow. My Instagram does not reflect that. So I would just love any additional feedback you have on how to like mellow out my content.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pull up your page. And it is Splendid.
Splendid.yoga.
You can still see my Instagram pulled up, right?
I can see you, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so, oh wait, am I sharing the screen? I am sharing the screen. Okay, good. Okay. All right, so this, just so everyone can see, this is the page that we're talking about. So I actually think a couple of really simple things, we could do a couple really simple things. First of all, I don't know if this is going to be helpful, but actually yesterday on the podcast, we shared an episode with Kelsey Curtis, and she talked about like brand, like she's an expert on color psychology and what different colors mean, just FYI. And she gives like this color guide to kind of look at what your colors mean so that like if you needed to or slash wanted to, you could adjust. So just so you're aware of that resource, I found it really fascinating to learn about that. But that aside, I'm not an expert at that, so I won't talk about that. But the first thing for me is like, I think what you mentioned yesterday, adding cover photos to these so that we are still looking at your face. Like we're still getting a screenshot from the reel, but we're just looking at like easy to read titles. Like when a client asks if they can really find clients without the social media hustle. So maybe this title is clients without social media hustle, without the social media hustle or whatever it might be, right? So it's just like add a cover photo so that it's just clear words that when we are scrolling, they're popping out of the screen at us so that we're clear what we get when we follow you here. So I think the cover photo is one piece. Does that make sense as a note?
Yeah, it does. Is that something you can go back and edit, or is this just going to be a go forward thing for me?
You can edit it if you wanted to. I don't feel like you have to add it to your plate. You could probably just start that now. But if you wanted to, if that was something that felt like, no, I'll do that at least for like the last 10 posts or something, you can edit it. If you open it up and you click on edit, you're going to be able to tap the there's going to be like a photo in the top left-hand corner, which is whatever your cover photo is at the time. And it'll say the words edit on it. And if you tap on that, it'll give you the option to upload from your camera roll.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that I think is something that we can do with Reels. And then for the other things, I actually think like just doing that with Reels is gonna help a lot. Because your other thing, like this is there's some white space around you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I recommend this necessarily, but I do something that helps me. I will alternate. So it's like I'm alternating my face with space. So for example, if this were my picture on my feed, this next one would either be a graphic or me really far away, right? So that if there's some space around me. And I noticed that when I do that, it just it doesn't feel so, for me, I'm okay with overwhelm, not overwhelmed, but I'm okay with a lot going on because my brand is very much about like rebel and like energy and creativity and stuff like that. So it's okay if I'm somewhat busy. So I won't use me as an example necessarily, but I have noticed that when I alternate between something that's a little bit more close up and something of me far away or like a quote card or something like that, it creates some spaciousness on the feed that feels like the words that are supposed to be popping out at me are popping out at me. and it's just less overwhelming. Does that note make sense? I feel like I've never tried to explain that before.
It does make sense. And I've done like alternating various forms of it before. I
Yeah.
just found it to be a little restrictive in terms of my actually like getting content created, because then I would get like stuck in making sure everything looked perfect.
Yes, and I
Um,
don't want you to do that. I definitely don't want you to do that. But I will say, like, why that doesn't make me personally feel restrictive is because it's not that I'm trying to make it a picture and a quote card and a picture and a quote card. I'm just trying to make it like I can do 3 reels in a row. Do you know what I mean? And they can all be selfies if I wanted it to. It's just that my cover photo of the one in between the 3 reels in a row is going to be a picture of me a little further away. You know what I mean? So it's not actually changing the content. It's just changing the way that I post it. Does that help?
yeah, I feel like so for the cover photo, is it something where I could just standardize it and just change the text?
That's what I do.
Okay.
Every
So it
single
doesn't have
cover.
to be like a screenshot from the reel. It could just be like something that I create.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You could do that. I don't know that I would recommend that actually. I'll show you
Okay.
what I do though. I have a template that I just reuse, and the only thing I'm changing, actually, I can give you this template. I did make it for the community. So I have to change this one. Like this one is one that I have to change. But like, for example, you see how I have pink writing there? So what I
Yeah.
have done is I have a title and it's a template. So I go into Canva, I drop the picture, I change the words, I download it, and I post it. The next one, I drop a picture, I change the words, I download it, and I post it. So it's exactly the same. It's just I just change the screenshot really and the title. It doesn't, and I also do it after the fact. I don't necessarily do it all in one go. So as you can see, this one I'm going to add, right? I'll add later, but right now it's just messy and that's fine. So again, it's one extra step than what you're saying, but you can also do this in Instagram story, right? So another thing you could do is screenshot, put it in your Instagram story, write the title the way you want it to, and then download that and use it as a cover photo. If you don't want to use Canva, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Wait, let me go back to your page. Nope. Okay. But honestly, I feel like those 2 things would do it, right? Like, I think like just changing the cover photo and maybe being mindful of like when things are being cut off, you know, being mindful of like where text is so that it's center to your feed. Do you know how to do that?
I do. Yeah, that was one of those glitchy ones where I thought I
Yeah.
had done it, but it didn't actually post. Yeah.
Oh, that's so annoying. But everything else feels, I mean, like this is going to create spaciousness. Even this is probably fine. You probably don't even need to add a cover photo to that one. But I think like those 2 things would probably be enough to just make it bring that. Oh, I know what we're talking about here. So that when I'm scrolling through you, like I want the words that pop out to me. I want back to your, I have them here, back to your content pillars, right? Which is yoga, imposter syndrome, passive income, business without burnout, and money mindset. I want the words that pop out at me to be aligned with those things. So when I am scrolling, what's going to make me feel less overwhelmed is if those topics keep coming up, right? And so now the information that is coming into my brain is, oh, we talk about these things here versus, oh my gosh, there's a lot of like I'm not going to pick up all these little words in a scroll, you know? So it's not even so much about the appearance as much as the information I'm able to absorb. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Do you feel clarity on the next step?
I do. I'm going to listen to that color psychology episode. And then I'm going to make some templates in Canva that I can use. I'm just going to change like 3 and see how it feels and go from there.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. And like I said yesterday, that is so, I feel like Morgan, right? Like I'm going to feel into it first, which is where I was like, yeah, I feel like this is like something to talk about. So I'm glad that resonated.
Yeah, it's a good reflection. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right. Okay, we talked to Rachel. Christy, are you still here, Christy? Hi, I'm going to ask
I
you.
am.
How
Can
you
you s-
doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
So how many new followers have you added now from, like, where are we at now?
I'm at 61.
Holy schmoly.
61,000. I know. I know.
Christy.
And it is. I know. It's crazy. But what I also noticed happening is once that one reel went viral, then it picked up in all of my others.
Yeah.
And so many people in my DMs, like I told you before, which has been great because, like you had said just a little bit ago, just making sure that you have the resource available. Like I had my freebie to download, which has been incredible. My email list has like really grown. So that's been amazing.
Christy.
I know.
So
I know.
excited.
I know, me too. So I'm still doing reels. I'm just not doing them every day like I was. I'll put them out there like maybe every other day. I'm still trying to do the carousel posts. I've kind of fallen behind the last 2 weeks, but I'm still trying to do those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Do what's working for you as well, like, and carousels, you're like, yes, they do have value, but it's like, as I always say, it's like nothing has value if it's going to totally burn you out. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, we do have to address, like, pick the actions we take that are most aligned with what we're able to do in that moment. And it doesn't mean you'll never do carousels. It maybe just might mean we're going to do this layer, and then I'm going to layer on the carousels. Do you know what I'm saying? So like one thing at a time. I think you're killing it. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I do have a question, and I don't know if this has happened to you or if it's happening to anyone else in the group, but here the last 2 days that I've been trying to post a reel, I've been going, which is great because I did do this on TikTok and I hadn't really done it on Instagram. But whenever you have someone comment on a post and you can do a video reply with their sticker, with their question, like a question sticker.
Yeah.
Mine will not upload. It like will go all the way across. Like you'll see that it's going across and it'll stop and say error. We cannot post this. And the last 2, and I haven't even really done them before. So I'm like, is there something wrong with my account, or is it just a glitch that's going on? But anytime 2 video replies and I wasn't able to do it. So I ended up just tagging the person who asked me on the reel. I don't know. I didn't know what else to do, but I was really bummed. I was like, seriously?
That is a bummer. But that's a good solution. You know what? This hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm gonna bet this is a glitch of some kind. Instagram, Morgan has experienced this recently, and I was experiencing the same thing Morgan was experiencing, where I was just not, like, text was just randomly not, like, I was working on the text and then it just wasn't posting with the text. So annoying. My solution for that was every time I edited, I downloaded it. So I just uploaded the one with text on it. Do you know what I mean? That solved the problem. But yeah, this sounds like a classic Instagram glitch. They're making some kind of a change or addressing something, and it's messing with this. And it's just something that we're going to have to wait on Instagram for. Yeah. So
well, at first I was worried because, I had that reel and I thought, oh, I'll just answer a question from the reel that had gone viral. And I was like, oh, maybe they don't want me to answer questions, because it came up and said this was going against community guidelines. And I was like, I'm answering a question about food. It was nothing that said, I mean, it truly was, it was a nice reply. There was nothing that I wasn't, so anyway, and I thought, well, now have I been tagged? And they're like, oh, she's trying to, I don't know, all the thoughts that go through your mind. And then I was like, no, it's probably just a glitch, but it is. Yeah. And as soon as I remove the sticker reply, it goes right away. So, okay. So that's just something for others to watch out for. If you think you're doing something wrong, you probably aren't.
You probably aren't. No, although the community guideline thing is interesting to note, because they are very, sensitive about the community guideline stuff. Like sometimes I'll say something that does not violate any community guidelines and they'll tell me off for it. So I think that it is, it could totally be that that's why they didn't post it, because I actually think they're very strict about that. So it could be, I do not think you're on some kind of blacklist or anything like that. Like, I don't think this is going to be a forever thing for you, but it
Yeah.
could be why that one didn't work. If you were getting that notice that it's that.
Okay.
But it's
And
hard
then the
to
next
know.
one that I tried yesterday was a comment from a totally different place and a totally different answer, and it wouldn't go through. So
Okay,
I
then
don't
no,
know.
it's a
I'll
glitch.
just keep trying. It's
It's a glitch.
it's just
Yeah.
so random. But sometimes even and I don't know if this happens to anyone else too. If someone sends me a message and I reply to it, sometimes it'll say, make sure you're not violating. I was like, they said hello.
I know.
What are we violating?
I know. I get that too.
Okay, just making
Yeah.
sure because I was like, what is going on?
Oh,
But
God,
so
no.
the whole reason, my whole big question was,
Yeah.
is since I have grown so much,
Mhm.
I'm seeing this new subscription. And while I
Yes.
really don't want to pay $15 a month, but I'm wondering if just to get the verification,
Yeah.
if that's a good idea for me. I don't know.
Yes, this is a very good question. And actually, I'm going to give, I have a bunch of notes here on what this is, because this is a brand new feature, everyone. If everyone's like, what is she talking about? Let me give some background as to what this subscription is, so you can get a sense as to whether or not you need this, right? So the first thing is, this is a monthly subscription that gives you that blue check mark, right? And it also, the other promise is that it offers you a real person for customer service and protection against impersonation. So you know how if you have something wrong with your Facebook or your Instagram account and you message Facebook and they're like, send you some automated response to go to some FAQ page that doesn't answer your question, and it's so freaking frustrating. If you are part of their Meta subscription, you are actually going to have a human reply to any complaint you have, any problem you have. If you get locked out, if someone tries to steal your account, you have someone there to help you. I actually think of all of the benefits, that is the biggest benefit, because I have seen people lose everything from some accident. Some Instagram has also accidentally deleted accounts before. Like, they mess up, you know? So I think of everything, that is the best thing. It does not, though. One thing that they were saying originally is that they were going to also offer increased reach. Now they are no longer doing that. They have taken that away because they had so many complaints about that. They're like, oh wait, I have to pay for reach now. Like, I already had to do ads for extra reach. This is BS, which it was. So now they're no longer doing that. So if you were like, oh, I'm going to buy that for extra reach, not you, Christy, just in general.
Right. I know what you mean.
Yeah. They're no longer doing that. It's rolling out slowly in the US. So if you'll see the option in settings if you want to consider it. If it's not there, it'll come eventually. Here's an important one. If your Instagram account needs to have the same name, your Instagram account needs to have the same name as your driver's license. So for you, Christy, my understanding is yours is not your name. It's Love,
Live and Low Sugar.
Live and Low Sugar. So you would actually need to change your name to Christy Good in order to get it. And I don't know if you want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a brand move, right? So that's something else to think about. Now, all in all, I think that's pretty much it. The biggest things. Yeah. All in all, like, I think that the best part of this is the customer service. I don't actually. Do you have two-factor authentication on your account?
No. Well, on my Facebook account, I do, and I log in through Facebook to get to my Instagram. So I think they're one. You know what I mean? Like, I use my.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that you can also do it on Instagram. Like, for example, my team can't get into my Instagram account without contacting me. And it helps me be very mindful of, like, it makes it a lot harder to get into my account. In terms of security, like that type of security, I don't think this is going to help with that necessarily. I think it's going to help to have a customer service rep. I do think it's going to help with that. But in terms of like being, I don't know, a part of me doesn't feel like this is so worth it, to be honest. I am going to probably sign up for it just so that I can review it and give you guys like honest feedback, because I don't even have the option yet. I haven't gotten anything in England. But a part of me is feeling like this is one of the things where it's hard to say because it's brand new. It's only been around for less than 10 days in the United States. And I think it's one of those things that we have to test and try. I think if you are worried, if you've ever had an issue with Facebook and Instagram, have you, or people have tried to hack your account or anything like that?
Facebook I did, but I immediately got an email from Facebook telling me that, hey, did you log in here?
Yes.
And I was like, no. So,
okay. So you were able to thwart that quickly.
Mhm.
Okay. See, that's still going to be happening, right? Like if you feel like that's enough security wise, I don't really, the only benefit is that you're going to speak to a person when there actually is a problem. You know what I'm saying? And to pay $15 a month for the likelihood of that happening when you already have two-factor authentication set up and you get your emails quickly enough that you can say, no, that's not me. Like, as long as you don't fall for any of those emails where they email you or being like, quick, there's a copyright issue on your page, click here to sort it out. Like, as long as you don't respond to any of those. And by the way, everyone, you can check. If you go into your settings, right? Like whenever I get messages from Facebook or Instagram, actually no, Instagram, I go into my settings on my phone and it will tell me most recent notifications from Instagram so that I can check out if there really is a problem or if someone is messing with me so that I click on a link and they steal everything I have, right? So if I ever get one of those emails, I check my settings. I haven't done this in a while, so I can't remember the steps, but if you guys want to know that, I can remind myself and then post on the Facebook group. But you can actually see most recent notifications from Facebook. Mine always says none. So when I get a message being like, there's a copyright issue, I will check my settings, see if there really is a copyright issue, because it'll be in my Instagram as well. If it says none, I know it's bullshit and I just delete it. Right? So, but if you get one of those crazy emails, do not click on any links. I think if everyone does not click on links, has two-factor authentication set up, and, you know, just double checks notifications like that, I don't think that there's $15 a month is steep for like nothing unless you need it. It's like basically buying insurance for your Instagram, you know?
Yeah,
So
it is.
I don't know. It's hard for me to recommend this without trying it, if I'm being honest, Christy. And I know that's not a great answer, but I hope I gave you enough information to like come up with the best answer for yourself.
It definitely gave me a lot more information. And I was just like you. Yeah, it wasn't for the reach. I was more about the fact that I know several people that their accounts have been like totally just deleted.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a year later, one lady, it showed up again. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, how bizarre is that? So that was my only worry, is because now granted, I have the backup now. I have an email list, which that's the whole point of doing all this.
Yeah.
But still, it's just that fear.
Oh, I get it. I so get it. And like I said, I do think the one thing that is worth it is having someone to talk to, because when that stuff happens and Instagram can't even help you, there's nothing more frustrating. And that's really why a lot of these people haven't gotten their accounts back. Because when Instagram does get involved, like they fix it, they can see it and they can fix it. But if they don't respond to anything, they can't. So the one benefit is they're almost guaranteed protection around that. But you don't seem like the kind of person that's just willy-nilly clicking on links that you get sent. So I feel like as long as you're not doing that, and you have two-factor authentication set up, then it's hard to break into an account unless you give them something, but it doesn't sound like you're giving them anything.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're like, no, I don't know if I trust myself 100%, then maybe just give it a try for a few months and see if it feels better. And if you feel like I'm not getting much out of this, then just leave it. Do you know what I mean? It's not,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. I just wasn't sure. Really, you gave me more detail than what I even knew it was about. So that was very helpful.
Yeah. And I said, I'm going to sign up and I'll give you guys all the dirty details when I sign up too.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. And Val actually found the how-to on how to check if an email is from Instagram. So yay, we've got that right there.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, Sarah Lily's headed on vacation. I'm so jealous. Okay. All right. Okay. So who's next? Diana. Is Diana still here? Yay. Hi, Diana.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good. And you've got a very good question too. Oh my gosh. I love how Kylie's wearing her Disney ears. I just noticed that. Okay, Diana, you've got a great question here too. When I add questions to a post, where can I find the answers people are giving and how do you share that information? Good question. So is this for when you're on Instagram story asking with a question sticker? And is this story live or is it in the past?
The story, for this particular one, I believe it's still live.
Okay. I'll show you how to
Yeah.
do both. I'll show you how to do both because
Okay.
you can still answer it if it's past, but I'll show you how to do both. So if it's live, you're going to open up your Instagram story. And actually, let me walk through it as well, just so I make sure I give you the correct information. It's hard to remember these little details.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So right now I have something on my feed. So I'm going to do this with you. So
Okay.
if you open up your Instagram story, at the bottom, like the black part of the screen at the bottom, you're going to see activity and then like 3 profile pictures. Do you see that?
Let's see. Yes.
Click on that.
Okay.
And then what's going to show up, it should either show up the results of your question sticker, or it's going to there's going to be like a graph right below your image and like the number of people that viewed it. If you can alternate between those 2 tabs. When you click on the number of people that viewed it, underneath that, you should see the results of your sticker.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yep, I see it.
Awesome. And then if it is a question sticker, and the people have responded, if you click on one of the responses, it's going to give you the option to reply. And it's going to basically open up a new Instagram story with their question at the bottom of it. It keeps it anonymous. So with their question at the bottom of it, and you can just hit record and reply to the question and then post it.
Okay.
And they'll actually get tagged. So they will get tagged saying, oh, your question has been answered by Diana, or whatever it says.
So just to clarify, when I hit that response and it opens up, I see message so-and-so as one option.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one says share response.
Yes. So if you
So
hit
it's-
share response, you can film it and it'll go to your Instagram story and be public.
Got
If you
it.
say message, it's going to be a private message.
Got it. Okay. Super
Yeah.
helpful.
Good. Now, if it's in the past,
Yeah.
you can also go to if you exit out, so you go to your page where you have your bio and your profile picture and all your posts.
Yeah.
Then hit the top 3 lines in the top right-hand corner.
Okay.
Hit archive. And then you should be able to see all of your Instagram stories from the past. You can actually even click at the top of the screen. There's like a calendar icon.
Yeah.
If you click on that, you can actually even go to like a date a year ago if you wanted to, and click on all the stories you posted. And if you open one up, the only thing that's different with this one, if you open one up, wait, let me do one in the past. Sorry. If you want to open one up and I think it's over 2 weeks old, you're not going to see the activity at the bottom. You're not going to be able to see how many people, like you can't click on it in the same way. What you're going to have to do instead is swipe up. So when you swipe up on it, it's going to give you whatever information they still choose to give you.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That difference?
Yes.
Yay. I'm so happy you're using question stickers.
Okay.
Does that answer all your questions? Is anything else you want to make sure that you cover?
I guess one other question is I did a live this morning, and I guess I had the option to post the live with a comment and create a cover or whatever. And then when I tried to do that, I thought I had posted it, and then when I went back, it didn't post. And I think sometimes I do it and it posts twice, and sometimes I attempt to do it and it doesn't post at all.
That's
So I'm
annoying.
sure the tech side of it just makes me insane because it's not intuitive to me. So if I do a live, what's the best way to then post that live?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a live. What I did, my understanding, I have done it where because you can save it. Like you can save it for 30 days or something like that. And you used to have that option. It was like, what do you want to do? Save it or post it? And I used to save it until one time I saved it and it deleted it. So I was like, oh my God, I was so pissed. So now because of that, I always post it right away. But the fact that it deleted, even though you posted it, oh my God, that sucks so bad. That was my solution, to post it right away. I think that for me, I would always have it ready to post right away. I'd have the cover photo and all that stuff ready on my phone so that like when I'm done, I just quickly post it. I do think that's the best way.
Okay.
Yours
so do
deleted.
all that piece, do that on the front end, then go live, and then it's ready to go.
Yeah, like have it
Okay.
all complete so that you can just automatically do it. What I've also done in the past is I don't know if you have the option to download your lives. You used to, and then they stopped that. And I don't know what the current situation is. I haven't been live in like 6 months or something.
Mhm.
If you do have that option, if that option is back, always download. I have noticed that like if you can save something on your phone, do that, because you cannot rely on Instagram to not glitch. And at least you'll have a hard copy so you can try things again.
Yeah.
So that's like barely an answer, but it's kind of an answer.
It's like maybe I can
Yeah.
do this in take 2. Okay.
I know. It's like maybe this feature's there, maybe it's my imagination, but if it's there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know I'm a little technically challenged, but it makes me feel better that Instagram is also, not a perfect thing. So
No, it is actually one of the least perfect things in the world. So you are not alone.
okay. Super helpful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So the rest of our questions are actually people who have already hopped off, and we are way past time. So thanks for everyone who stayed around. Are there any questions about things that we talked about today that anyone would like clarification on or anything like that? Just want to give people the option. Let me quickly check the chat. What's the best way to do a live or an interview that I could post later? You mean like so I actually think the best way is to do it live, like is actually to go through the live feature. I know that we were just talking about how things accidentally delete, and that is definitely a risk, and it's very frustrating when it happens. But when it works, it's a great way to show up live. Their audience and your audience will be notified that you're live. So you are getting in front of new people. Can have a quick conversation. Both of you share engagement so that you can see their people and your people. And then when it posts, it's something that they can share again. And it's just like something that lives on. So I think that the live and then turning that live into a post is probably the best way to do it. You're asking also, or an interview that you could post later. Well, something that I do, I don't know that this is best though, because it's harder, right? But I do have a podcast, and as part of the podcast, I record video content. So as we're talking, I record ourselves, and then I download something where I download like 1-minute clips, and I post those clips on my feed to promote my podcast, but also just to share value and content. That has been a great way to create more content. But like I said, Instagram lives are way easier to do. If like that route requires editing, requires lots of extra steps that I don't think you need unless you have a podcast or unless you're creating a bigger, more long form piece of content. But yeah, I think that probably going live, a joint live, is probably the best way to interview people unless you have a podcast. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. The other thing is, if I'm doing an interview with other people, and I want to use it for YouTube, let's say, are you doing your interviews via Zoom to record them?
So I use something called Riverside. I don't know if I recommend them. Like, they're fine. I do think they're better than Zoom. I have to say, I think the quality is way better than Zoom. So personally, I do like it for that, but I've never tried to do I don't know if you can do, I've only ever spoken to one other person at a time. So I don't know if you can do more than 2 people. You've tried. But if you want to do like a panel, I do still use Zoom. Like, I obviously haven't gotten rid of Zoom. Another good one is, Crowdcast. Actually, I really like Crowdcast. You're trying to do a panel? Is that what you said?
No, not a panel, but just interviewing one person at a time.
Oh, okay. And are people attending this? Like, are you inviting people?
No, they're not attending. It's just me interviewing
Okay.
actors. Yeah.
And then how are you going to use the footage?
Well, I'd like to be able to use it for YouTube, Instagram.
Okay. So people who have used Zoom, I might ask you to chime in a second. One thing I like about Riverside is you can download your conversation in multiple formats. So I can download it in a format for YouTube, and then I can download it in a format for Instagram, and then I can download it in a format for Facebook, like I can change the format so that I'm not doing any of that editing, right? So aside from picking the clip or whatever it might be, I just have to like edit, like trim how I want to trim, and then download it, pick my format, and it's finished. I do, for that reason, like it. And if you download it is for it in HD quality, it's like a high quality download. It's interesting. When you're recording, it doesn't look clear at all. Like you guys look like you're cartoons. Like it doesn't. And I tell them this every time. I'm like, by the way, it's going to look really weird. But funny enough, when you download it, it's fine. There's no problems whatsoever. So I don't know why that is, but just so if you use it, don't freak out. If you're like, why is
Oh
the
my
video?
God, I would be freaking out. I'd be like, oh my God, pet.
No, as long as what I would recommend is plug your computer into the wall, like plug it in like the power cord, just so that it's charging. That helps with the quality. I would also recommend having a mic or something like that, just because it just helps, right? And yeah, but after that, it's very. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing here. But after that, it's very easy to use, and you can pick your format and download it. I personally like it 10 times more than Zoom. But yeah, other people do use Zoom. And so maybe Kylie, I know you use Zoom. I don't know if you want to give any recommendations to, would you keep using Zoom, or would you just choose to ditch it?
I was just making a note to myself to switch to Riverside. Well, because the way that we edit our podcast, so John, it's similar to what you're doing. I just also take the audio and put it on a podcast. But I repurpose everything to YouTube, to Instagram. Well, Instagram, I just use it to make reels. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, considering Riverside, only because of what you said, Sophia, you can download it already in whatever format you want. How we do is I grab the content from Zoom, and then we put it into this other content generating tool that you can make it into different formats, but then it gets kind of weird.
Yeah, I think that the problem with Zoom that I had, and Kylie, I know we were talking about this, is like, because like the format you might want, it like zooms in on people's faces really weird. Whereas Riverside like formats it so that you don't have someone just like looking like their nose is talking. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's some space, and it just looks like it was meant to look like that. So for me, that's one of the reasons why I switched to Riverside, because I knew I was going to turn our conversations into video content. But there are others though. Crowdcast is more for webinars, not really this. So I'm not sure that I'd recommend it for what you're trying to do, but something I did like about Crowdcast is similarly, when I download the video, it's very good quality. Sometimes I feel like when I download Zoom, it's not very good quality. And Amy was saying that that has to do with if you download it to your computer or if you download it from the cloud. So I don't know if that's like, I've never tried that. So that could be a solution if you want to stick to Zoom. But I was impressed with the Crowdcast quality of video as well. I think camera quality does matter. If you're going to put it on YouTube and things like that, I really think it's important. So definitely consider that in your decision. Does that help?
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. I also like the sound of what you're doing. Go you, getting some stuff done over there. Okay, I like to download IG Lives to get a transcription and use that for multiple content pieces. I love that, Petra. Background to get a transcript. Yeah. By the way, guys, another app that I found that I'm freaking loving in terms of captions on your video is the app Captions. Actually, I took forever to commit to Captions. I don't know why, but I love the look of the captions. It also edits your stuff really nicely. Like if you want to film a video on it, I haven't tried this yet, but my friend Bonnie uses this all the time. If you want to edit a video and there's like long spaces, you can program it to cut the spaces for you. So it's like you click a button and it'll cut all the spaces for you and then add captions. And it's so easy. And they actually spell things right. Like some of these other caption ones, I like have to edit everything, but they actually have spelled everything that I put out there correctly. So that's another really good video app if you guys are looking for that. Hey. All right. Any other questions? Whoa, 5:30. It's also hailing outside. What the heck? It was so warm today. Oh my God. The world is freaking me out. Okay. Well, you guys, I love y'all. I love you all so much. And I'm so grateful that you stayed around till the end. I'm excited for a class, April 14th. And also I'm chatting to someone. Everyone has been asking me if we could do a ChatGPT class. I have someone coming in. Well, we have to talk dates because she's very, very busy, but she has been studying AI for way longer than since ChatGPT has been popular. She's like an AI person. So I'm hoping she can come in and talk to us about some strategies. Oh, you're welcome, Petra. Me too. It is so cool.
Oh my God, ChatGPT is ridiculous.
I know it is. It's kind of terrifying as well, but
it's insane.
Yeah, I know. It's really great. And Bonnie has actually come in to talk about video before, but her whole specialty is actually AI, and she's been using it for years. So she's got some really cool stuff cooking, and we're talking about her coming in for a class for you guys. So some things cooking, but for right now, we have content office hours on April 3rd. Stuff to know. What's my crazy title? Stuff to know in 2023 so that you don't look like you're posting like it's 2019 or whatever I called it. That's April 14th. And then our next problem solving call is April 28th. And we're going to have a party in April. I'm excited. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you have an amazing weekend.
Bye.